Welcome to An Epiphany with Tiffany. My name is Tiffany, and I've just had an epiphany. This podcast is all about Christian singles looking for community. Christian dating can be quite a mess these days. I'll share stories from my guests and practical tips for successful love. Dating shouldn't be this hard, right? So grab your favorite snack or drink and curl up with this episode, and you might just have an epiphany of your own. All right, so we have gotten through July, right? August, I start my job. Well, really start my job.
Really start your job.
You're getting ready to go back to having no kids 24/7. Not that you really had them 24/7, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Going back to getting an
actual break.
A break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's kind of touch on that, the transition from August till now. It's November. Mm-hmm. And kind of just where we both feel like we're at currently, and then let's reflect back on a year ago again.
I feel like from August through now, we've kind of hit the sweet spot. Like we've found the groove, and just how to coexist with each other well. Mm-hmm. That we can read each other really well, but also we're not afraid to say like, okay, it's been a day.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of times when I come home, either I can see you and instantly know, okay, this is where we're at. She needs to vent. Or I think I come in with a sigh. Yeah. When it's been a day, I'm just like, and then you're like, okay, let's process this.
I'm like, you good?
Yeah. That's when I drop my purse.
Yeah, that's actually a really good clue, too. Is like
drop my purse down.
Yeah, because sometimes I'll be in my room when you first get home, or I'll be in here like making dinner or like whatever, and then like I'll hear you come in, and it's like, okay, where are we at? I mean, obviously sometimes we'll tell each other beforehand too. It's like, oh my gosh, it's been the worst day ever. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be in the chair when I get home, you know.
Well, that's another indicator is if you're in your room and you come out here and I'm in that chair.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, oh no, she's in the chair.
Yeah, she is in the chair. Like, yeah, if I'm doing like my other work meetings and stuff, and like I don't even know that you're home right away because I didn't check your GPS location.
She's not a stalker at all.
Not. It's fine. It's safety. Okay. Anyway, if I didn't like quite realize you were home and I opened that door and I'm like, oh boy, okay, she's in the chair. All right, I'm gonna walk into the kitchen and I'm gonna be like, what's up?
Yeah.
Would you like some food?
What level are we? Are you angry? Are you tired? Are you stressed? What is this?
Are you grunting because you're angry? Because you're just irritated? Or
I do have an angry grunt.
It makes me smile though. Like, that's weird to say, but it's
I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, but it's so helpful because then I know where you're at. I'm like, okay.
I have indicators. If I'm like really worn out, it's just. But if I'm like ready to murder someone, it's
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. But see, I have my own indicators. Actually, what are my indicators?
Oh gosh, I feel put on the spot.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Because a lot of times I don't think through it. I know it and react to it. Mm-hmm.
But I definitely have indicators.
Oh, the chair is another one for you too. Yeah. If you are in a sweatshirt, a hood up, in the chair, I'm like, what comfort food do we need tonight? Where are we at? You need to vent? Do we need to put on a show and just completely check out what's happening? Mm-hmm. Or it's okay, we're not accomplishing anything tonight. Yeah. She's done for the day.
Yeah. Girl dinner.
So often girl dinner.
Yeah.
But you also have size too, like different.
I do have different level of size.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have my like sigh, and that
eyes start to pop out.
Yeah. And that one is kind of a combo. Mm-hmm. It's like okay, I might be a little bit emotional right now, or it's like, what's the word? It's kind of, this, like, I just need to release, I guess. It's like, okay, I'm emotional, and or I just need to kind of, you know, but I don't go like that. Like, it's just a whoo kind of thing.
And see, when I need to release, I just start talking.
Yeah.
Because there was a time recently that you're in your room and I'm at your door.
Yeah.
I came in, dropped the person, I was at your door, and then just talking a mile a minute.
Yep. I was like, oh, we're at this level tonight.
Yeah, because I had been all day just trying not to talk about it. And I wanted to handle the situation well, and I didn't want to, like, gossip about the person or anything like that. But then it was like, I need to talk to someone, and I need to make sure that I am not blowing this out of proportion or overreacting.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I need to read you this. And then I did.
And I was sitting there like, oh, dang.
That was your facial expression.
Literally, like, oh, dang. Like...
Yeah.
This is some tea, but also you were not wrong. I will say it again. You were not wrong in any of that. But yeah, like that night was interesting. But it's just really funny for me to think about how we've picked up on that for each other really quickly.
Yeah.
Because I also have my general just like sigh.
Yeah. And if I'm unsure, I'll just go, okay, you just sighed. What did that mean?
Yeah.
I did that today.
And sometimes it's just like, oh no, I'm just needing to take a deep breath and kind of let it out, like just release it in that way. But you know, because sometimes when I'm feeling really stressed, like I realize I shallow breathe, right? Because that's a sign of being stressed, is shallow breathing. And so sometimes that's what it is. Like, especially if we're sitting there like on our phones or watching something or whatever, and I'm just like,
it's you did it earlier.
Yeah.
I said, what was that? You're like, I was just breathing or thinking about breathing.
I was thinking about breathing,
and I was like, you need to do that? What's happening? Are we doom spiraling?
Not in that moment. I was not doom spiraling. Later, yes.
But I had to check because we both have our moments.
Yeah.
And we're going through our things. And
yes.
There's times that I think we need to talk about it, and we don't realize we need to talk about it. So it's just acknowledging, hey.
Side note, a little squirrel moment. I loved how we were both on the same level with the way that we said that. It was like almost perfect. Okay. Anyway.
We do that a lot.
We do. Some people are going to be confused who said what. It's fine. But okay, so all of that, right? Now we're literally sitting here recording this on November 9th. We met each other on November 10th, a year ago in An Epiphany, Indiana.
The big old city.
Big old city of An Epiphany, Indiana. So let's talk about where we feel like each other has grown since that day.
A lot of ways. I feel like the last year for me has been healing, working through fear, letting go of the need of control, which really was just fear. Because I was afraid of not knowing the outcome or bad things happening, which they do all the time.
Right.
You can't change that.
Right.
And learning to be obedient and really trust God when I don't know the outcome at all. But also, I've told you this many times that I feel like God has put it on my heart that marriage is coming and that I need to be preparing. And so that's what I've been doing, is trying to really work on myself and get in a different mindset. And I think that's part of why God called us to move in together, is preparing both of us in that, and having more of the service mindset of like, how can I help the other person? Or like, she's had a bad day, what can I do to help her get through this? So it's just been, in a lot of ways, this last year has been all about working on myself and working on my relationship with God. And I feel like each month I'm seeing me be different and changing and growing, and things that used to trigger me don't trigger me in the same way anymore, even as they did a month ago.
Yeah. And
it's just been a huge season of growth, a very long season of growth.
Who knew?
So many plot twists.
So many.
But, you know, even though everything has been really hard, I wouldn't change any of it. I've been super thankful for what has come out of it. And it's like, oh yeah, God does know what he's doing. And I should trust him and go along for the ride.
Yeah.
Lean into the hard and remember that he's going to use it and do something good from it. And I feel like you've been going through a lot of the same thing.
in similar ways, but different. Like, to me, walking into this apartment, it was like, okay, you have to remember what it's like to live with somebody that's not family.
Yeah.
And she could walk away. Like, I knew you wouldn't. But, like, it was how do we keep this relationship healthy so that at the end of our time together, we will continue the relationship, right? And so that was my goal.
Yeah.
One of them. But, like, that was probably one of the bigger ones. And reminding myself, okay, she's not family. But, like, you know, you have to remember your things, Tiffany, and, like, and how do you have conversations about boundaries with somebody that's not your family? Like, how, honestly, they've gone a little bit easier with you.
I was thinking the same thing. It's easier when it's not family. Because sometimes family doesn't fully listen to what you're saying.
Yes.
And we do.
Yes, it's true. And we ask clarifying questions.
We do, yeah.
Because I'm like, well, wait, did you mean it this way or did you mean it this way?
Yeah.
Or this is what I heard you say, or, you know, kind of thing like that. So I think, like you said, this has been really good practice for our future husbands.
Yeah.
You're welcome. I say that with all the love. Okay, anyway, but again, like, because I've been praying about it so much too, and, like, you know what happened with Nashville, which I still have not ever shared on the podcast, which I need to eventually, but maybe that'll be like my New Year's episode. We'll see.
You will when it's time.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what happened with Nashville, and, like, and then, like we already mentioned, the whirlwind of us getting to this point and stuff, and then, like, okay, you're in a job, Tiffany, that is helping you be a little bit more financially stable. Yes, you still have some work to do, but, like, you're reaching some goals there, and that's something that I wanted to be working on before I got married. You know, like, I wanted to walk through certain healing journeys, which I'm currently walking through right now. And so I'm just over here like, 2025, what you gonna bring? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And it's wild to me to think about the fact that, in all honesty, in another 6 months, we both could be moving again, which is wild.
Yeah.
Very wild.
But also, can we look at the fact that both of us, when we realized we were moving, even though, like, yours was a lot bigger than mine, but going from living completely alone to having a roommate, we both freaked out a little bit. Yeah. And had to go through this journey of trusting God and letting go. And now, as we're being told you're probably going to move, we're both like, okay, I know nothing that is happening. Yeah. We have, I think we talked it out, there's like 6 scenarios that could be played out unless God throws a wrench in things. And
there's 7. Oh no, maybe we should chat about those off camera, because there might be a 7th that we haven't put together yet.
But the thing is, we don't have to know yet.
No, I know.
Because God will reveal the answers, but we haven't been freaking out. We've just been calm about it and like, okay, this is probably going to happen. We don't know where we're going to live. We don't know what our jobs are going to be.
We don't even know what state we're going to, if we're staying here in this state or leaving.
Yeah, if we're moving together or separately.
Yeah.
We don't know any of that.
No idea.
And we're like,
Okay.
That's fine.
It's so funny because, I mean, I do have, like, there's still part of me that's a little bit apprehensive. Only because it's like, we've already talked about this, but not everybody else knows this, so we're going to share this part of the story.
It's fine.
I had just gotten to the place of like, okay, maybe this is more than a year. And you come out of your room. You come out of your room and you're like, I think God's telling me to move. And I said, what?
You did. Your face. You were like, excuse me? And I was confused because I didn't know you'd gotten to that place. And I'm like, but didn't you think you were moving all along? That's what you've been saying since the beginning.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, I just got to the place that I'm not moving. And I was like, well, I don't know when I'm moving. It could be 5 years from now. I have no idea.
I mean, it's accurate, but literally that sent like so much in a good way. Yes. So much anxiety, but like excitement too, because I was like, okay, wait a minute, God, you just wanted me to get to the point of going, let this go again, Tiffany, because you've been in your head going, okay, so if I'm moving again in May, where am I going? Who am I going with? Mm-hmm. How is this going to work? Blah, 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 blah. Like all these things, right? Because I was doom spiraling about moving. And then I got to this moment where I was like, you know what? Tiffany, God has not failed you at all in your year of abide up until this point. He has literally provided every freaking step every day. Okay? Multiple times. There's been so many things that have happened, like, you know, in these little itty bitty things that it's like, okay, well, I don't even know how that happened. Or like other instances where it could have been really crazy detrimental. Like I could have gotten in a car accident, like, and that didn't happen. Yeah. You know, like I was safe from it, but that was a whole other thing. But anyway, like people. So like, you know, just all these different things. And so I was out here in the chair. I think I even had my hood up that day.
You were a hoodlum.
I was a hoodlum. In the chair. And I was just like, all right, God, like, I let it go. Mm-hmm. Not even 5 minutes later, you come walking out of that room and you're like, I think God's telling me to move. And I was like, whoa. Mm-hmm. Whoa. Because I had so much peace about like letting it go. Like, you know, so then you come around the corner and you're like, I'm moving. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, are you kidding me?
I've been processing that for a couple of days because I remember the moment that it hit me and I'm sitting in my car. Oh. And I am waiting I've got a few minutes till the bus is going to come. And so I finished up a chapter of a book that I was reading. And I was like, oh no. I said it out loud in the car by myself. I read the words and then I go, oh no. And just, I'm probably moving.
Yeah.
Okay. And not like down the street.
Yeah.
Like another state.
Yeah.
And I did not see that one coming. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, again, see, you were in the boat that I was last year. Yeah. Well, actually, this year, let's be real, because again, last year I wasn't thinking about Indiana. But yeah, so you're in the moment of where I was February, March, right? Mm-hmm. Of like, okay, wait a minute, this is actually like possibility. Mm-hmm. Right? Again, like for me, it was again a possibility, but for you, this is like a huge thing because you're an Indiana girl through and through. And so, just a little bit. Cornbread and bread. Okay.
Corn-fed, not corn-fed.
Does it bread?
I know a few Freds, so they might be corn-fed.
Corn-fed and bread. There we go. I did that.
I really am because I grew up on a farm. So.
Oh, Lord.
I am Hoosier through and through.
Yes. But all that to say, it's like, it's exciting because we don't know where we're going to go. Yeah. And it's kind of like, all right, God, where are you going to take us? Mm-hmm. How is this going to work out?
And the way that he's been confirming things, the fact that, I mean, I wanted to call you so so bad when I found out that my job of 7 years, at the end of next summer, they're just going to need me part-time.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that coming. And I didn't freak out at all when my boss told me that. I was like, okay, well, I might move. I might nanny again. I might find a different career. I have no idea what's going to happen or what I'm going to do. And I'm not worried about it at all. I know that God's going to pave the way, and that I've been having these feelings that these things were going to happen, and then he just keeps lining everything up. And so I just trust that he will. And it probably won't be on my timeline.
It won't be.
It never is.
Won't be on mine either. But see, I guess that's the other little caveat, though, is that if we're moving, it will probably be, we will be discovering that by March. Because I feel like it won't be, oh, hey, just getting like all of a sudden you're moving. You know, like we will have enough time to make it work like I did, or like we did this first time around. Like,
it may be into February.
Oh, snap. That's a whole other ballgame of feelings right now.
Yeah, that's what I've realized, that we may not have all the pieces together until the last minute. Because it's the same way Midwest Meetup worked. It's the same way the Phoenix trip worked. Every time that God's really been in it, it's been in his timing, and he puts us in a place of, are you going to trust me? And that takes it up till the last minute.
So in that aspect, it's like knowing we're moving probably by the end of February, beginning of March, but how that's going to happen, we won't know until.
Yeah, we'd at least be putting in our notice. But I even thought of,
I love how we're processing this whole roommate situation right now. Okay, go ahead.
Everybody gets to say it and hear it.
Hey, real life.
I thought about when, several years ago, when I moved out of my brother's house, before I moved downtown, the roommate that I was going to move with had 2 more months until her lease was up. So I temporarily moved in with my friend Melly. And I've even thought that may be a case that we move out, but I don't move where I'm supposed to move until my job is done at the beginning of August. I'm just trying to have a mindset of being ready
when
to
it's
go
time,
and do whatever God says to do when it's time, and to just completely leave it in his hands.
So in other words, you're telling me I need to start packing.
I think I've been saying that.
This is the girl who finally unpacked some things.
But I'm also like, I don't think we're supposed to move in assumptions. So even if it's on a quick timeline, we both would be packing. We can both designate time of, it's time to pack. You go pack your room. I'm going to start packing my stuff. I don't think we're supposed to. We prepare mentally and be in the mindset of going, being prepared to go. But I don't think it's time to pack yet.
No, I agree with that. I don't think it's time to pack yet. But I think the only reason I said that was because it's like the coming into agreement with. Right. And so that's what I did in March. I was like, I'm packing. Like, even though I didn't have anything, we hadn't figured all that stuff out yet. I was like, all right, this is a possibility. You need to prepare. And the best way you can prepare right now when things feel like crazy and out of control is to pack. Yeah. And so that's what I started doing. Right. And so that's why I kind of had that thought again. But I agree. I don't think it's quite ready. Maybe January. When I get back from being in California for a month. Woo!
Who knows? Because
we'll see.
With both of our lives in the last year, I mean, probably before then, but definitely the last year, we haven't seen anything coming that's happened. And there have been plot twists almost weekly.
Yeah, that is true.
So everything that we think is going to happen we're wasting our time
thinking about
and trying to plan and prepare. God has it. Mm-hmm. And we just go when he says go, or we stay if he says stay. Mm-hmm. And I think if we are seeking him and abiding and just running towards him, he's going to get us ready for whatever's next. Mm-hmm. So we just have to be in that place of surrender and trusting mm-hmm. and being obedient. Mm-hmm. Even when we don't like what the answer is. Even if it's wait. I don't like hearing wait, but
me neither.
There is purpose in the waiting. I know. Epiphany.
What? There is purpose in the waiting. Maybe that should be another shirt. There's purpose in the waiting.
It should be another shirt.
I should design that. No, but for real, like, it's wild to think about all of that and to be so open to the possibilities. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, hashtag stop putting God in a box. Right. Mm-hmm. And the idea of like, okay, my husband might not be who I thought it was. Mm-hmm. My life may not look anything like I thought it was going to look like. Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the truth as we both come around the corner to turning 35?
Yeah, woo, girl. Whoo, doggy. Okay, yes. But, like, I just keep thinking about that, like, to not take so much control back, but also coming into agreement with the idea of it is going to happen in his timing and to be prepared mm-hmm. as best I could. Mm-hmm. Like, right? Like the whole preparing your fields thing that I showed you from Facing the Giants. Oh, it's a good movie.
Got me in the feels.
It did. Me too. Every time I watch the movie, I cry. But the idea is the same of doing the things, doing the work, mm-hmm. and then sitting back and watching God work, you know, mm-hmm. or showing up and being like, all right, God, what are we doing today? Mm-hmm. You know, and I mean, that's helped a lot in my job right now.
Well, I don't think I've told you that it's been a couple weeks now that every morning, well, it started, I woke up one morning and the first thing that came into my head was, this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Mm. I had like 2 hours of sleep, and that's the first thought that I had. And I was like, well, this is a Holy Spirit moment because I don't want to rejoice in this day. But that's been kind of what my prayer has been every day is, this is your day, and I'm going to rejoice in it. What do you have for me? Mm-hmm. What do you want me to do? Mm-hmm. Help me find the joy. Help me find the good moments and mm-hmm. not focus so much on the negative, because mm-hmm. it's so easy to get wrapped up in the negative of life mm-hmm. and let one little thing mm-hmm. of your day ruin the whole day. Mm-hmm. And so it's just been a mindset shift, and it's been really cool how it has changed every day for me. Mm-hmm. So it's important to have that and start the day that way and just be like, Lord, what is this day? What is it going to be? Mm-hmm. It's yours. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's scary because you're like, what are you going to ask me to do?
Yeah. Yeah, wild. I mean, like, okay, so even the last 2 weeks, mm-hmm. right? Mm. Last 2.5 weeks? I don't even know now. Everything is running together. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, last 2.5 weeks, because came home from California to a dead car, mm-hmm. right? Had to get a rental car. Mm-hmm. Then nobody had my freaking battery in the state of Indiana for my personal car. Then had the rental car, had that for a day, drove it to work the second day, had a flat tire on Interstate 465, mm-hmm. and I'm over here like, are you kidding me? Right? And so then I pull over to the side of the interstate and I'm like, okay, now we're just gonna sit here and cry because this is like the worst week ever. Mm-hmm. And, you know, and then in that, I had like such a really sweet moment. And was deeply reminded about, you know, God's provision and like his safety and his sovereignty and like how he can use the people in our community to speak into us. Right. And so, you know, then like got that all fixed up, taken care of, got my car battery, got back into my car, and then all like last week at work was really, really brutal. Right? Had a couple of migraines. Then this week I've had a migraine like almost every day.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's just...
And she doesn't mean me.
No, I do not mean her. But, you know, it's just like crazy and weird when you... Not crazy and weird. It's just crazy how... Sometimes when you're in these stages of like God really trying to grow you and remind you of who he is, how Satan will do everything in his power to make that stop. Right? And it's like, I know that the next few months as we're like figuring things out are probably going to be extremely intense because again, with God being in it, it's going to move quickly, but also Satan's going to do a lot to try and stop us because I full-heartedly believe we are moving because we're finding our husbands.
I do too.
And that means that there's going to be another 2 kingdom couples out there, and he's going to try and stop that as much as he can. And so it's like, okay, Tiffany, what can you do in this time frame to pray for your husband even though you don't know who he is?
That's what I was just going to say. I said that's a challenge to us that God has already kind of put it in our hearts that that's what's next. And we don't know what he's told those men. And so we need to be praying over them constantly because we do know that that's coming. And so we need to be covering them because we're already in the battle. We're aware of the battle. They may not be. And so we got to suit up.
Let's go.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Hey. Put on the armor of God, girl.
Every day.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what's exciting though. It's like, these are the things that we can do for our husbands now and for our children. And you know, screw you, Satan. Like, you can't have me. And I said that so many times this week. So many times. Walking around that stinking school and knowing that I'm going to puke if I have to stand here in these freaking lights any, longer. And just being like, Satan, you cannot have me. You cannot have me.
Well, it's been nonstop for both of us for the past couple of weeks. And you even know about the moment that I had that was intense spiritual warfare in the middle of the night. And that you came out that morning, which it's not very often that we're both awake before work at the same time. And you came out here and you're like, I felt something, because you said your jaw was clenched.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is what was happening on my end.
Yeah. Well, and it was crazy because I was standing in there and I checked the time and I was like, okay, you need to shower. And I had this thought of go shower or go talk to your roommate. And I knew I needed to go talk to you. And so I was like, all right, I'm coming out the door. Like, this is so weird. I don't ever see you in the morning or very rarely see you in the morning. And so, but as soon as I walked out here, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something happened last night and we need to discuss this.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I needed to talk to someone who would believe me before I went back into a non-Christian space. Before I went into a space where they have statues of Hindu gods. So I think I needed that. Kind of that conversation was me suiting up. it was
100%.
like, okay, we are going to verbalize this, get it out of your head. This is what happened. Now, let's go fight this battle some more. Mm-hmm. And like at that point, I was just kind of ticked off. Mm-hmm. And I was like saying, you are not messing with me. This is not going to fly.
Yeah.
And I was in battle mode. I was ready.
Yeah. The crazy thing is I had my second migraine that day. Mm-hmm. And part of me was like, it's because you were so clenched last night. And then I was like, well, yeah, but your roommate was battling and you didn't know she was battling. And so it was just like, my body knew you were my spirit knew you were battling, I guess is how I should say it. But
what's also interesting is that everyone attached to us and still in this battle has also been having migraines lately. Because I don't get migraines often, and I've had migraines. Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of migraines going around.
Yeah, they're catching.
It's like fire. Oh, man. I really want to watch those movies. That's a squirrel moment, but now I really want to watch those. But I do think that that's interesting because, like, I got to figure out how to say this. Mm-hmm. Holy Spirit, give me the words. Because it's like, okay, so we share the Holy Spirit, right? So we share one spirit.
Yeah.
But we are in and of ourselves spirits, mm-hmm. right? Like we have our own. And so I think, and I could be wrong, and I could be like totally incorrect when I say this, but I don't think it should be taken lightly when people that you were extremely connected to and really close to who are battling, that you start kind of having either similar things happen or, you know, or whatever. And I think that that is when the kingdom can really come together and should come together and realize that, hey, I don't want to over spiritualize it all, obviously, but there are reasons that we're having certain things happen, and it's either God's getting our attention or Satan's on the attack. So how can we, as Christian singles, because obviously that's what this whole podcast is about, but like, how can we as Christian singles suit up for each other? What can we do for our brothers and our sisters in Christ in those moments? And I think we, you know, a lot of the time will be like, oh, all I can do is pray. And it's like, no, that is the biggest thing you can do.
Thing you can do is pray.
The best thing you can do. Right? I mean, we pray for the men every Wednesday. And I love it. Because some days are better than others. But also, like, stepping back into that even has been a battle for us. And I think because, like, that part of that aspect of it and our own spiritual battles that we're having, it's like, again, what can we do to bring the kingdom together? How can we help those of us in our circle who are battling the same way that we are right now?
Yeah.
Right. Or even if it's a similar situation or even completely different, like, because we're all facing something, because God is on the move, y'all.
Yes.
He is on the move. Like, we talked about this at the beginning of 2024, that we said the 2024 was going to be huge for our group.
Yes.
And we've had how many weddings so far?
Oh, I've lost count.
Okay, we've had I think we've had like 5 or 6 so far.
One happened today.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One happened last weekend. Well, more than one happened
last weekend. Yeah. And I know
weekend before there were several.
Yes. And I know of 5 that are coming in 2025.
Yeah. Well, people keep getting engaged, or there's new couples happening almost every day.
And it's mind-blowing to me. But it's also super awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But, you know, we saw this coming back at the beginning of 2024. We knew that 2024 and 2025 were going to be huge years.
Yeah.
So it's like, now, again, we're in November. We're leading into 2025. This next month and a couple of weeks are going to be really intense because holidays, yay.
Yes.
And so it's like, okay, God, what do we need to be doing to prepare for 2025? For not only our husbands, but for our friends. Like our brothers and our sisters. What do we need to be doing for that? It's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, I think it's all about staying in consistent prayer for those in our community, but also just so we can hear clearly what God is saying to us. And we need to be flexible and present so that when God does say move, we move.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen the reels that it's like when God says it's time and he takes your hand and you just start like running really fast.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of what's about to happen for us, is that there's waiting and stillness, which you know that right now I am right in the midst of. I am in the waiting and in the stillness. And in that time, I have been preparing hard, like working on controlling my thoughts and praying without ceasing. And that's been my exhaustion lately, has been the daily mental battle. And that's where Satan is trying to get me.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to rewire my brain from almost 35 years of
hashtag emotional damage.
So much. But it's been working.
Yeah.
And so I know that in this moment of waiting on God to say go, waiting on him to move in these situations, that I need to be doing what I can do on myself.
Yeah.
And so I am. And I think that's what all of us need to be doing. Because when God says move, we gotta move. Yeah. And we can't sit there and have a freak out first. We just have to go do it.
Just have to do the thing. Yeah.
But he spent the last year preparing us.
That's for sure.
So he's not going to let it take off without us being in the place that we can handle it. It may still stretch us, but we're going to be at the place that it's time and we're ready. We're ready to run.
That just made me think of a song.
I know exactly what song you're thinking of. I almost started singing it.
Okay, we're not going to sing right now. But retain the ADHD or contain the ADHD.
Retain. We have no problem retaining it. We just need to contain it.
Okay, y'all, it's late. Anyway, but okay, let's wrap this up with a little pretty bow.
What's this bow look like?
I don't know. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I was just thinking.
I do have a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Because I think because you shared what your word of the year is for this year.
Ooh!
Are you ready to share? If you're not ready, I can share mine for next year.
I have already shared it with a couple people, so I'm fine sharing with what mine is.
So what is your word for 2025?
Well, it's two.
2 words.
It's 2 words.
First word.
First word sounds like. So the first word, well, I mean, it's technically 1 word, but 2 words. So it's free, but / freedom. Right. So those kind of obviously go together.
Yeah.
So being free and then walking in freedom. So I guess technically it's going to come out to being 4 words, but it's fine.
You kind of had that mini with abide because you broke it down by letter.
Yeah.
You break freedom down by letter?
I was thinking about it, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm still praying through that part of it. So we'll kind of come back to this if I need to. But the second word is renew / renewed. So the past tense of how that works, like renewing. But anyway,
all the tenses,
all of them. And so I'm extremely excited, but also petrified.
Like, I think that's the way it should be.
Of what that means. Like, so you already know this, but I was having a conversation with some other peeps earlier, and we were talking about words and how I've prayed through them before and like gotten them and all that stuff in the process. And so I was like, you know, sharing how for 2023, faith was my word, right? Mm-hmm. For this year, 2024, it's been abide and all the other things that are tied into that. And so I was like kind of giving examples of how those have come to fruition, right, within my life so far. And so then they were like, oh, okay, that's really, really cool. You know, like, I'm going to probably start praying over things. And I'm like, sweet. So then I was like, well, these are my 2 for next year. And I'm scared. You know, I'm just like, okay. But that has a lot to do with some things that you know about already. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, I mean, we are the generation that is trying to deal with all of our generational trauma, right? And so in that, knowing what those 2 words mean, I'm over here like, oh, Lord. And
I'm like, let's go.
I know, right? I'm like,
I got you.
I'm so excited, but so, I guess petrified is not the right word, but it's just more like, okay. It's going to be a hard year, but it's going to be an amazingly beautiful year. And I cannot wait for it because I've been praying about getting through some of this stuff for years. And so it's like, okay, well, walking into 2025, what are you letting go of? So that you can walk in that freedom and being renewed. Like, what are you going to do? Right. And so, which is also why I've been having migraines for 2 weeks. You know, processing trauma is so much fun. But it's so needed, right?
Absolutely.
Like, so incredibly needed because the body keeps the score. #psychology. Woohoo. I'm putting that degree to use. But realistically, like, I'm tired. I'm so tired of living, and I have been so tired of living in this bubble of like holding on to things that are not mine.
Yeah.
And I don't want them anymore. I don't need them.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also like with my therapist previously, I had to get to this realization of like, Tiffany, you develop your own chaos.
Oh,
because you're used.
I resonate with that.
Because I'm so used to chaos. I'm so used to life being chaotic. So I create my own. So I think this is touching back on something else that I've grown in. I think that that's a big area that I've grown in this year is being able to be like, no, you're spiraling. Stop creating your own chaos. What are you going to do to get out of it? Still, quote, failing a lot of the time, but that's because I've had 34 years of training.
You get there overnight. You're not going to heal it overnight.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, just reminding myself that it's going to be a process, and next year is going to be a year of huge growth.
I should also say, God can heal it overnight, but a lot of times He doesn't because of the growth you would miss out on if it healed right away. Amen. Because I don't know if you feel the same way, but like I look at all of the hard things of this last year and I wouldn't trade any of them, because in every one of the hard moments there's been an equally as beautiful moment that happened either simultaneously or because of it. No matter what, God has been so good and so kind to just meet us in the mess. There's been a lot of mess.
Yes. Amen to that. So what's your word? I already know it, but what's your word?
My word is chosen. And
I can't wait for that.
And I have ideas of how that could play out, but every word that I've had this vision in my head of how it was going to play out, and every time I've been wrong. So I don't know what God's going to do with that. And I'm excited to see it play out. But I also, when I started this year with abundance, I went back through the words that I've had the last several years. I don't remember all of them, but I had growth, flexibility, present, I know there's 2 more because I've been doing it. I think this was my 6th year. But my friend pointed out that every single one built on each other to prepare me for the next word. And so I think all of these things and all of these years had to happen to get me to the place of being able to live out chosen. Whether that's chosen by a husband or living out being chosen by God. And if that's sharing my faith more, living my faith out in a more bold manner, whatever that looks like, I have a feeling it's going to play out in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I'm sure that I will like some of them and dislike others.
Amen, sister friends. Yeah.
But yeah, when that word came to mind, I thought, okay, this is going to be an interesting year. What is this going to be? Only God knows.
Yep. But I'm so excited for it. I cannot wait to see how it works out. Oh boy.
So a year from now, when we do another
episode, 2 years later,
where will we be living?
Where am I going to have to come, or where are you going to have to come?
Will this be a Zoom podcast?
Another one. We would not be able to do it in person.
Who knows?
I don't know. It's going to be wild. But we going to find out. We going to find out, girl.
I feel like 2025 is going to be the year of weddings.
Ooh, boy.
We already know of so many that are happening.
I know.
And we're not even in January.
I know. And it's funny because we've talked about this too. We both kind of believe that when our men finally realize it's going to go quickly.
Your face.
Sorry.
Yes.
And it's okay. And I think to wrap this all back up, obviously we're both in a place where we need to be dealing with a lot of things. And we know that, just because statistically speaking, it's more likely that our men are having to deal with their own things. And so it's okay, cool. In God's timing, that's going to happen. And I'm here for it. I can't wait. I can't wait to be like, hey, remember when we were doing this? Or we were talking about this? And look at what happened with this, you know?
I just think it's going to be fun when we can have that moment. I just think back to the Friends episode where Monica's like, I have to live with a boy. I feel like we're going to have that moment of oh no. Also, yay, but
also, oh no, I have to live with a man. I mean, I'm fine with it. Let's go. Bring it on.
Yeah, that's only all we've wanted.
Yeah. Whatever. No big deal. Okay. I feel like we can go off on a whole tangent, but we should probably rein it in.
We always can.
Wow, this has been fun.
We knew it would be. We were like, we've got to leave plenty of time for the two of us to talk.
Yeah. Well, cheers, Rumi. Here's the next 6 months. Lord only knows what's going to happen.
Where are we going to be?
And it's epic. I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay.
Did it.
We did the thing.
We did it.
Hey, we did it.
That's our theme song.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the stories and the perspectives that were shared in this episode. Please share it with a friend whose dating life might need some help. Wink, wink. If you want to connect with me on social media, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at An Epiph with Tiff. I really hope to see you there. There are multiple ways that you can support my show. You can pray for me, rate, review, and share any episode that you love. Or you can even financially contribute by going to patreon.com/An Epiphany with Tiffany. Until next time, I'm Tiffany, and I hope you just had an epiphany.